Welcome to the Ball at All Cost podcast. I'm excited this week. I'm really excited this week. This one's personal. This one has taken a long time to happen. And yeah, friend of mine, experienced coach who I look up to. And yeah, I'm just excited to have him on the pod with us, Mr. Dave Bricknell. Welcome. And
Thank
all
you.
I could have bigged you up a bit more, but we're going to go into that. You'll big yourself up, I'm sure.
No, I can't pick myself up, but thank you.
I know you don't. And we've got our esteemed panel list, Deji and OC. And as is customary, as you know, we asked everybody how they've been doing over the weekend. But before we do that, Dej, I heard on one of the previous pods that I weren't on, you're beginning to really like the theme tune. I'll let my brother know because that's his little bit of music there.
Yeah, no, I love it, mate. I love it. And in fact, I think it's just a nice way to kind of set you up. It sets you up and gives you that focus. So as I just clicked the button now, I was smiling. So yes, love it.
Good man. Future number one. So we'll start with you, Dej. How you been doing? How's your weekend gone?
Yeah, weekend's really fun. Obviously spending some time with yourself yesterday and the boy. Happy birthday to your lad, so that was fantastic. And then today marked the season opener for what we know is the Echo League,
aka the Premier League, you said earlier.
Yeah, it's very much the Prem. We talked about this being about development, but people are really bothered about the results. And anyway, we had a good result today. I'm not going to lie to you. Played one of the fierce teams, probably one of the favourites this season, and my club managed to get a good result. Actually, I was very, very impressed with the boys today. And look, we keep our head down and we keep working. But it was nice to see, and it was really competitive game, and we have to just give respect to both coaches.
Good. OC bumped into you yesterday.
Yes, yeah. That
Random.
was a coincidence, So
yeah,
over at the paintball special laser tag yesterday, which was fun. I was suited up, running around with the boys yesterday.
Yeah, and, big kid.
Yeah, big kid yesterday. You know what? Listen, all of them were like, "Who's Blaze A? Who's Blaze A?" Because I was just like popping.
Well, you were playing to win.
Well, that was development. But what was I going to say? So yeah, it kicked off today, didn't it? In terms of football, almost kicked off on the sideline. To be fair, but
gosh,
I'll leave that alone. But
and I won't comment.
Yeah, it was interesting, because the boys lost. They lost quite heavily. It was their first game. They probably played about 3 or 4 pre-season games, and most teams have played loads and loads. And I just found it interesting because there was so much on the side from parents like shouting out this, and that. This is my very first league game that I've had as a parent. I've been a coach ever since my boys started playing football, so I'm not used to what takes place on the side. And I just found it interesting because obviously yesterday now, it was your boy's birthday, my nephew's birthday, when we were at the paintball. And I'm trying to develop a bit of a strategy. It was like capture the flag. So we're in the forest. We've got to capture the flag and bring it back to our base. So I'm speaking to the boys and I'm like, okay, this is the strategy. You flank this one. We'll creep up on this side. And they were like, yeah, let's do it, yeah. And then within like 5-10 seconds, the plan's gone out. And they're all like just running out there, getting shot. And at the end of the game, I was like, boys, like, what happened? Like, were you listening, yeah? And they were like, yeah. And you know what? It reminded me of today because they're like 8-9-year-old boys. So on the side, me as a parent and me as like a guy, yesterday, I'm strategic with the gun, yeah? And like, you've got the parents on the side shouting like, did you see that pass? Like, tackle this. And I'm like, they're just little kids, man. Like they don't see what you see, and they don't think how you think. So you might just need to relax and just let them be kids and let them figure it out. Do you know what I mean? Because if the rest of the season is to go on as today in terms of like the conduct of the parents on the side, I'm just gonna have to take my headphones, man, and just stand in the corner and just watch from the corner because yeah, it was a little bit. It got a little bit out of hand today. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah, I can echo that. Echo Lee. So I'm not going to go into it, but I'm just going to go over to Dave. Welcome, Dave. How are you doing? How's your week
Thank you.
been?
Weekend started off really good. I took my grandson's new team under 8 into Spurs to play the pre-academy. We had 5 games there. The boys done well, done themselves proud. All seemed to enjoy it, which is the main thing. Yesterday morning, I done the soccer school, the Ryan Soccer School. Lots of boys there, lots of enjoyment there. And I went home and I spent the day watching Premier League football.
We can't name teams. We can't name teams on this pod.
I'm not one name to, but I was really happy with one of the teams, done well.
Yeah.
And then this morning, I got up. My granddad, their first league game. We played a very good side. Lost the game, lost it quite heavily. But they all tried. We've gone up into Brazil League. I think most of the boys have only ever played Denmark before. Right. The team that come in had 3 or 4, I think they had 3 or 4 boys that already at pre-academies. They was more organised. They was better than us. And good game though. Boys done well. They'll learn from it. And then just got to realise there's a steep learning curve, which if they want to compete, they've got to get to that level as soon as they possibly can. And then after that, I took my scouting duties on and went over to Cheshunt and watched an under-14 game. Okay. And then came back and watched a bit more football on the TV.
Football and now you're doing a football podcast.
Now doing a football club. She's lovely. It's different for me. I'm not into. I was quite pleased with myself. I put something on social media yesterday. I'm not great with social media. I'm not good with tech, and I managed to put some music to a photo on thinking, which I was buzzing about because I've never been able to do that before. So that was quite. I see you're laughing, Dave, but I was so happy with myself because I was thinking this could go completely wrong, and it went okay actually. So I'm quite pleased. Easily pleased, mate.
Well done. Well done. Dave, you mentioned a lot there that I want to get into. We're going to get into. So you mentioned Scout. You mentioned Ryan. You mentioned your grandson and his team. And yeah, I just want to let the people know who you are and why we've got you on the pod, and then try and work out where it all started. We'll work backwards and then we'll build it up to the present day. So if I wanted to summarize Dave Bricknell in a 160 character tweet, you mentioned technology, 160 character tweet, how would Dave Bricknell summarize Dave Bricknell?
Football daft.
Football
that
daft.
Is it. 2 words. I'm football daft. My wife says I'm football daft. I watch it. I love doing the grassroots. I love seeing kids progress to play to the level that they should play to, whether that's going in an academy or whether that's playing in Germany League. I just love seeing the kids go out and play and doing the best they can do. And that's it. And I'm quite lucky. I've got an opportunity to offer certain people the chances for their kids to try and live their dreams. So
brilliant. You just
for me, that's all I've loved football. I'm 61. I started playing football when I was 5. And I just love it. Just football daft, I suppose.
Brilliant. So currently you're a scout.
That's more than 100
we'll go into that.
Words, isn't it?
Is a football daft is a nice short tweet. But you went into the quotes, so that's fine. Currently you're a football scout, and currently you are your own entity, but you're also part of the Ryan setup, right?
Yeah.
Cool. But how did it all start for you?
I do a bit for myself. The soccer school, many years ago, we amalgamated the 2 soccer schools, and that's grown. And we have, I don't know, it was about 115 kids there on Saturday morning from 4 to about 12, 4 years of age to about 12 years of age. So that's gone quite well.
Brilliant. And like you said,
And
your
then the
football
scouting, I started scouting about 26 years ago.
So I'm just going to ask you how it started, and then we're going to come back round to where you currently are. So how did it start for you?
Okay. It all started when my son was about 5. Well, when my son was about 5 years of age, a friend of mine said, do I want to help out his football team? So we went over Waltham Forest Youth. I was probably about 6 at the time. And my mate was doing a team, and then there was lots of boys turned up, different ages. So I ended up doing a team for Waltham Forest Youth. Good little side. I was a complete lunatic. I thought I was Alex Ferguson, Pep Guardiola, Terry Venables, you name it. I thought I was the greatest coach, manager in the world. I wasn't into all this. Everyone gets the right amount of minutes. I played to win. And that was me at the start of it. Some people say I'm the same now, but I think I've mellowed quite a lot over the years. We then joined up with Ridgeway and amalgamated with quite a very, very good side that had the likes of Dwight Gow playing for Lee Sawyer, who played for Chelsea, Gavin Height was at Arsenal, Jordan Spencer went to West Ham. Who else was there? There's quite a few that end up playing, if not at the into an academy, at non-league, done very well in non-league. A lot of the boys left, went into the academies at 9 years of age. My son went into Chelsea. And after being there for about 6 months, that's when I become a scout. I asked Bernie Dixon, God rest his soul, at the time he was in charge, how do I get into this? Because I was doing quite a few games, and he just said, "I'll go away, and if send us some boys in, if they do well, we'll take you on." I was quite lucky. The first 2 boys I sent in both got signed to Chelsea. He'd also signed 4 boys from the side that I was coaching, and then I started off with there. I stayed with them while John was at Chelsea. He got released at the end of the under-14 season. I stayed another year. Then Spurs rang me and asked me to go over there, and I've been there ever since. And it's my club, and I enjoy every second of it.
Brilliant. How was it working for Chelsea?
Brilliant. I'd love to say it was rubbish, but it wasn't. It was a fantastic club to work for. The scouts, there was a group of scouts that we got all from East London that got on really, really well. They used to invite you over. It was good. When Chelsea ever played Spurs, my son would be ball boy. All the ball boys would be probably Spurs supporters that played at Chelsea. And they treated me really well. The only reason I left is because Spurs asked me to go there.
Dream job.
I wasn't going to turn them down. Yeah.
Okay, so
and then I also done. Sorry, Andrew. I also done my youngest son's side at Ridgeway, and we was quite lucky with a few of them boys that got through there as well.
Okay, you've got a big catalogue. We're going to come into that a bit more because I know there's a player who you didn't mention there, but is a biggie, even bigger than Dwight Gow. So we'll come on to that in a second. So you're a scout, and you're also a coach, an experienced coach. And I've seen you coach, and I must admit, how tall are you, Dave? You're about 6 foot.
6'2", 6'3", 6'2", I think
6'2",
I am. Yeah, 6'2",
6'2", 6'3", and you're well built. Yeah, and you've got a bellowing voice, and you tend to teach the pre-academy boys. Yeah, and my son, when he was 4 or 5 at the soccer school, was probably scared of you. All right, and he was only scared of you because you're 6'2", 6'3", and you got a deep bellowing voice. However, what I will say on record is that you are the most friendliest, nicest, actually one of the happiest coaches who just wants the boys to do well, right? So he was only scared because you were big and you had a loud voice, but you try not to use it, and you only use it if you have to. And that's what I will say on record, because when he came over to your age group, which was, I think it's kind of like reception year one, and then if the boys are good enough, they come over. When he came over, he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And he progressed. I don't know if you remember that. I don't know if you remember him at that age.
Yeah, you probably summed up most kids that's ever come across to me, to be honest with you. Most of them, I try not to be scary. I'm not. I do try to not to be scary. But as you say, I'm 6'2". I've probably got the loudest voice in East London, and I'm very. I do like a bit of discipline. I don't like the kids to mess about, because I think if the parents are paying money for them to learn, then they need to listen. It's very hard with the young kids, and I've got to make sure I get the right balance. But the other thing is if you've got 3 or 4 kids just kicking the ball about, then they could hurt someone, because that's when accidents happen, when they're not disciplined, when they don't listen to what you're asking them to do.
Yeah.
And the worst thing for me is a parent's come and see, Dave, my boy's got a ball in the face, someone's kicked it in his nose, he's got blood running down his nose, because I've just let things go all over the place. So I do like to keep it disciplined. I do like to try and be fair, and I do try and make sure they learn something, because if you're paying money to go somewhere, then I believe that you should try and make sure they learn something from that session.
Yeah, and I make you right, and you tend to do that, or you do that. But I still think what you didn't mention there is you do like a bit of fun, you do like a bit of banter, you do like someone to surprise you, show you a bit of skill. You do make it exciting at the same time as well. So I think once he got in and realized your character and your personality, I know you can't make jokes with him because he doesn't actually laugh. He's just a serious boy at times. But I think he obviously enjoys you. He goes to the camp. He always looks forward to going to the camp. So you've done right by him. And I think 5 years on, like, he's one of your biggest fans. So I think
it's very
that's
nice
just
of him.
something.
If you're going to do something 4 or 5 nights a week and your weekend, you've got to try and enjoy it, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely.
And I do try and have some fun with the kids. But I'm also trying to ensure that they develop. That's the main thing. They develop.
Yeah, and I see it, and there's proof. The proof's in the pudding. So I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'm going to open up to the floor, and then we'll come back around. There'll be many questions. But a question that's made me curious is, and I've had many chats with you, Dave, and I know that you teach in schools as well, right? And I know that, well, I believe actually the school you told me was a secondary school. So you've taught older kids, but you tend to teach the younger kids when it comes to football and the soccer school. I was just curious as to what made you stick with this age group and not necessarily follow them up, or you just seemed happy to be there for their beginning and to give them a great start. What made you make that decision?
Well, I've done all the age groups. I've gone through every age group there is with my son, both my son's teams. I've done youth football. I've done non-league. I've managed at non-league. Adult football's not really for me. Too many people think they're good, and half of them can't even kick a ball or trap or any. They can't really. They're not that very good. So that used to bug me. As I said before, I love to see at the start, and then hopefully we can push him on. The big problem is you can't do every age group. You physically haven't got the time. I would love to take them every single year, but you can't. What we also try and do at Ryan is to develop the coaches, and I think we've got some very good coaches over there in the soccer school. So, for instance, Josh and Luke, who are the most experienced ones over there now.
Yeah.
I try and push the kids to them, because it's a different voice. They're a bit young. They're a lot younger than me, but they're also very, very good coaches. So then you look to push them to their kids have got to get used to different voices, different styles of coaching. And I think one of the hardest groups to teach is the 6 to 8, because that's where you try and make. That's where they take a lot on board of what you're saying. That's where they're sponges. So I'd like to think I could help them out in there, and then they can be pushed along a bit more later on. But if I could, I would do the whole lot. But it's just physically you can't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So I'm going to hand over to Deji, because I know Deji is the bundler, Dave. So I'm just warning you. He will ask you about 7 questions in one and expect you to remember each one. So, yeah, just be warned.
Remember, I'm old, Deji, yeah?
Don't worry, Dave. But I need to get the gems out, and we've got a limited period of time, so I apologise in advance.
Yeah.
So look, Dave, you reminded me of the story, and it was exactly what it was. The question, I've got a couple of questions actually. So the first bundle is Grassroots Football the name of this podcast channel? Is it Ball at All Cost? Because if I'm sure, as you see.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Is Grassroots Football, has it become Ball at All Cost? Which is that basically, are you noticing that parents are less, they're not in it for the development, they're in it to win, they're in it to get their kids pro? So that's my first question. Are you seeing that, and what's your, what impact do you think that's having on the game?
Personally, I don't think the Grassroots is as good now as it was 10 years ago. It's a different type of football now, not as exciting. Every coach seems to want to try and play the same way. I call it horseshoe football. Goes out, Cody takes it, goes out to the right, pass it, he goes up to the midfielder, pass it back across to the centre half, out the other side. But we don't seem to play. The centre midfielders seem to have gone, and they're looking to take the ball forward. We've all gone Pep. We've all want to hold on to the ball, which is, it's good in some respects, but the name of the game is excitement and to score goals. Parents, there's a lot of parents out there looking at their kids as the golden ticket. You can see it in them. They'll go to Ryan. They think it might be better at finesse, so they go finesse. They then think it could be someone else to go to mindset or whoever, or Levels, or whatever team it is out there. Tiger, there's some fantastic grassroots clubs out there. And then they hear that someone's at one club and they work for Arsenal, so they take their boys there. There's a boy last year. He come to us at Ryan. He got spotted. He ended up. He'd been with us for about 5 months. Ended up being spotted by Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham, and Chelsea. Parents have taken him there. They was also taking him to about 3 or 4 different one-to-one coaches. He's also training with Ryan and playing games for Ryan. And he's probably doing more football than most professionals. He was 7 years of age, and he's got a fracture of his kneecap already.
Wow. And
that's where I think people have got to realise that, you want to give your kid every opportunity, but you've also got to be aware of their welfare and how it's going to impact their body if you're making them train 7 days a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dave. And I think that's so important, because one of the reasons why we wanted to do the podcast is we always look at the journey. We want people to kind of understand the highs and the lows. And, I was just saying to you, reminding you, you were saying that you meet so many people. And I know I stunned you backstage when I said that my first experience of the Echo League for my boy, he was playing for Finesse. His first game was against Ryan. And we're getting lamped, to be honest. I think it's about 7-2. And just so to put into context, you know, Ryan at the time, very good team, goalkeeper, fantastic goalkeeper who comes out of goal and plays with his feet so well. So I think you know the lad that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you stood next to me and you actually named my son and you said, look, you said it's the academy system is good. You know, they'll get the free kit, they'll get the football boots, they get to go on these amazing trips. But ultimately, and you pointed to my lad and you said, ultimately, you want that boy, and you named him. Said it's nice, but maybe at 15, it might be better for him to come in then, because then what he does is he's played his game, he's got the experience, and he goes on to sign. And basically what you were telling me, because at the time, a lot of people were doing pre-academy, a lot of people were looking at the Instagram, a lot of people are quick to post their child has signed, and then the ones that don't sign are feeling bad, they're feeling like they haven't done the right job. And you were basically telling me, look, it's a long journey, mate, so you can relax, anything can happen at any time. And I think you mentioned your son being at Chelsea from pretty much, you know, 8 to 14 and what happened there as an idea to say, look, anything can happen at any time. And I've taken that. Like all my mates who I speak to, I always say to them, you know, it's a long journey. Don't give up, but also play. But can you elaborate on that? Because there was a reason why you said it. You probably don't remember the context as to why you said it at the time. But I did take a lot of from that. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, if you put your boy in now, and they're going in at 6 and 7s now, you know, to be looked at. If you put your boy in at 6 and 7, he's got to ward off everybody for 12 years to maybe get his pro. That's a long time to be fine. And then Andrews, you've taken Harry, you're in the EDC at Tottenham. Harris, how many boys have you seen come in over the time he's been in there? Because it's a continuous conveyor belt of boys being looked at. And then if I come in and I say, I'll use your son, Andrew. If I say to you, well, we want to sign Harris.
Yeah.
My job is then to go out and try and get someone better than Harris straight away.
Yeah.
Because that's my job. My job is to try and get the best players into Spurs. So you're looking for the best of the best always. It's really hard. It's hard on the kids. But it is great as well. It's a fantastic experience. Some of these kids will do things that no other kids can do. They travel abroad. They might play at the home ground of the team they support. They might go to St George's Park. You know, they play the pitches in the academies are unbelievable.
Yeah.
So they're playing on pitches that most kids can only dream about playing on. So there's lots of pluses for it, but there are a few negatives as well. And the negatives are some boys, if they don't make it, feel like failures.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you and for sharing that. And you know, for me, I took a lot of heart from that conversation we had that day. And anyone that speaks to me who probably even watching the pod now, be like, I remember Deb's telling me about that story. But you talked something, and I can see that in your very veins and your fabric, which is what I believe in. Because I in my day job, I work with young people. I do youth work, and in that job, I'm always wanting to see young people reach their highest potential. And you talked about to play at their level, and being a scout and seeing what you've seen, the number of lads and girls that you've seen over the years. I'm asking you two questions. One, what do you personally look for someone who could potentially make it? And actually, let me just leave it as that. I've got more questions after. What do you look for?
Well, Andrew, tell you, I am Glenn Hoddle's greatest ever supporter.
Yeah.
So if what I look for is someone that can do what Glenn Hoddle can do, which is very hard because to me, he's England's greatest ever player. Yeah. So I'm looking for the impossible nearly. For me, what I look for is depend on the ages as well, because you look for different aspects at different ages. At a younger age, you look at a boy that can give you a little bit wow moments, can control the ball, just something that sticks out during the game. As they get older, you look at what they do off the ball, how they mark, do they run back, are they lazy? Also, they've got a technical ability. You look for certain, like for different positions, you look for leadership. There's all different types of stuff you can look for. It's quite funny today. There was a boy that another scout went over to look for, and the boy got booked for lashing out at a kid, and then he had a penalty against his team, and I think he swore. I'm not sure, but he said something to the referee, and the referee sent him off. And the scout just turned around and walked off and said, "That's him done."
Yeah,
because you've got to have the right attitude as well to make it. That one of the greatest, I don't know if he's going to ask this different question, but to me, and it's hard to do as a scout, is to see what the kids like, what their attitude's like, because if they haven't got the heart, they won't make it. If they haven't got the right attitude, they won't make it. If they think they've made it as soon as they've gone into academy, they won't make it. You've got to have all the stars align. You've got to have luck, but you've got to really want it. And the ones that are coached and have gone on to make it and make it good are the ones with the best attitudes.
Fantastic. No, thank you, Dave. And I'll come back round, but I'm going to pass over to OC there, who's going to probably take it on from there. But that's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers. Some good questions there. What I was going to ask is, so you just touched on the attitude piece. Are you looking at attitude from kids that are like 5, 6, 7? No,
not really. Listen, as I say, it depends on the age you're looking at. At 5, 6, and 7, I look at something that they can do is like a wow moment. It could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be a great piece of skill. It could be a fantastic tackle. It could be a bit of leadership. You don't know, because some kids, you can see them in natural leaders. Goalkeepers, you look for the great save or the wow moment now, or whether they can play it with their feet. I try and look for intelligence in all kids. Do they just dribble and dribble and dribble until they lose the ball or run it off the pitch, or are they playing with their head up? So they can see the whole picture. And that's, as I said, it depends on their age group. The attitude thing, what I mean by the attitude is, when you get to a certain age, kids have got to make a decision. Do I really want to be a footballer, or am I just saying I want to be a footballer? Now, the ones that make it are the ones that don't go to all the parties when they're at school. They're not interested in all the nice bits of how can I put this? The distractions that are out there. And there's lots of distractions for kids out there. They're focused on what they want. They will eat the right things. They will go to bed at the right times. They will put 100% energy or effort into all training sessions. They will do training like they play in a match. And that's what I mean by the attitude. Because there are some kids, and you can see it, they think they've made it when they're 12 and 13. And unless they get themselves out of that mindset, most of them won't make it.
Yeah, okay. That's an interesting point. So with the academies and the growth, obviously they're looking at players from even 4 or 5 years old these days. If it was like an ideal situation for you, I suppose the ideal situation would be drop someone into an academy at 17 or 16, get their scholar or get a pro. So that would probably be ideal. But what's your thoughts on players that have been outside of the academy and come in a bit later compared to the boys that have been in there since the under 8s, 9s and stuff? Do you think that if they're in a good setup, you're ready to go? I'll let you go. You're ready to go.
There's a story. I won't say the person who it is, but there's a kid that played for me who was in Arsenal at a very early age, and he was very, very good. And he got released, and he went back to Grassroots. He playing for me at Grassroots again. And then under 16s, we played a semi-final. Me and him had a bit of a disagreement about something, wasn't major, it was something, but he took it. It meant more to him than I didn't realise at the time. He didn't play. We won the semi-final. He scored the winning penalty. He didn't want to play in the final. He then went away, and we met up a couple of years later. And he come and played for us in non-league, and then he signed a pro. And I'm talking to him now, and he said the thing is, the difference is that if you do get a knockback or you go through the grassroots, you appreciate it a lot more when you do make it. You know, he said he went to a club, and the boys that were coming down from Arsenal's and Tottenham's were going, "Oh, this look at the facilities here, not very good." Whereas he's thinking it's great because he's been used to playing over on grassroots pitches. So, you know, it can be a different mindset like that, and hopefully that's answered your question. Because me personally, if I had my way, I don't think anyone should sign up to an academy until they're under 12, so they go to secondary school. They can train with them. I just think at under 12s, they've gone to secondary school. If they get a knockback after that, then they can deal with it a lot better than. I mean, when I taught at Mossbourne in Hackney, and we'd get a lot of kids come in when you do the school trials in the year 7, and you say to them, like, anyone been to an academy? And there'd be like 15, 20 people put their hand up, and you think, oh, we're going to have a good school team this year. And some of them, you think, how? You know, because they're too young. And the best 6-year-old is not always the best 11-year-old. And nowadays, you go from, well, next year it's going to be 3 aside, then you go to 5 aside, then you go to 7 aside, then you go to 9 aside, then you can go to 11 aside. You've got to learn different parts of the game because you can't do on a 7 aside pitch what you can do at a 3 aside. You definitely can't do a 9 at the same as 5 aside you're doing a 9 aside. An 11 aside, it's more tactical. So you could be very good, but have you got the knowledge to take on the tactics as they get older? You know, they're bringing out rules of time. You can't head the ball. So when kids get to 14, 15, and suddenly they can start heading the ball now. They don't know how to. So that hurts them. You know, you can't train them for more than, I think it's 2 minutes with your heading. I'm not sure what that is at the moment. But, you know, they're not taking throw-ons, kickings. Well, that doesn't teach you football. But that's my opinion. Sorry.
I agree with some of those sentiments, to be honest. And what's your thoughts on the scouting right now? Just like the scene of scouting, because for me, there's a lot of scouts around, a lot of quite young kids. Let's be honest, the young kids around, and sometimes it's just interesting, like trying to understand what it is that what assignment have they got? Have they all been on a scouting course? They understand what to look for, because I get everyone's got a slightly different eye, but I just feel at times.
At the moment, it's people will say profile. They're looking at athletic players that can get around the pitch. It has changed. The scouting now seems to change. It seems to be hundreds of scouts out there nowadays. As you say, lots of youngsters. I think that's more to do with the clubs, because a lot of these younger scouts are associated with clubs.
Yeah. And
clubs don't want to miss out on kids. There's so much money in the game now that everyone's trying to get the best kids. If we don't get a Max Dowman, my bosses go, why haven't we seen Max Dowman? Why haven't we brought Max Dowman into the building? And then you say, well, we have or we haven't. And at the time we didn't fancy him, or whatever the case may be, or he's a massive Arsenal fan, that's why he's gone there. And there's reasons why kids pick some clubs over others. But yeah, I think that's because the clubs are so worried about missing out on someone that we're now we're getting more scouts out there. There's more coverage of more games. Makes it harder for me because I used to cover quite a lot of teams. Can't now because them teams have got associations. So you just go and start trying to find other places to look. But yeah, it has changed quite a lot, I think. What's your views? I mean, you three are out there. I mean, what's your views now? I'm going to ask a question there.
Flipped it back.
Let one of the guys jump in there.
Dave, so, I mean, I'm glad you asked that question, OC, because I was going to ask the same question. I've got scouts that are coming to look at our game, right? I like this kid. I don't know him well, but he came up to me the other day and said to me, have you got any standout players? I was like, yeah, on any given day. I said, the game just started. It's been 10 minutes in. And I said, I can give you some players, but maybe have a look. I said, on any given day, you could pick any two of our players and they'll be outstanding players and probably good enough to go to an EDC, right? I said, watch the game. Then he was like, yeah. I like this one, but I said, what are you looking for? And he told me. I said, all right. There are a couple of players that can play in those positions, but pretty much all can. So watch the game for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and let's have a conversation afterwards. But if that was you, Dave, I know you wouldn't do that. I wouldn't know you were watching. You would just watch, you'd watch. You'd see what you see, and you'd come up to me and you would say, you'd ask me about a person, you'd ask me about their mentality, you'd ask me where they've been, what they can do, and what do I think. And then you would formulate your opinion. And then you'll decide whether you want to bring them in or not, right? And I just find it like there's so many. And why I think is a problem is because what you were kind of touching on, OC, is, Dave, you've got so much experience. And I'm not just gassing you up, because I remember having conversations with you 5-6 years ago, like Deji did, right? And I didn't always know whether you were right or wrong, right? Because this is 5 years ago, I've just met you and you're speaking, you're probably saying something different to somebody else. But I can tell you this, what I've grown to realize is pretty much everything you've said 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago is pretty much bang on. It's been proven right. Some of the things you said to my boy about what's going to happen with his journey, where he's going to be, what he needs to do, what he needs to not worry about, pretty much all been bang on. So I said it to say that you've clearly got experience. You've clearly been around the block. You clearly know what you're looking for. You clearly know kind of what's going to happen. As much as things have modernized, like you said, the shoehorn, the football, as much as football changes, football doesn't change, right? Football is a ball and players, and the ultimate goal is to score goals and entertain. And football doesn't change. You know a player from a non-player. And it's as simple as that. But I think you've got the experience or an experienced scout has got the experience to understand what can happen in 4 or 5 years, not just what's happening in now, what can happen with this player, with that type of player, with that type of mindset, with that type of profile, if you like, with that type of parent, what can happen in 4 or 5 years. So I think for me, that's the benefit of having a scout with experience. I'm not saying they have to have your number of years experience, but I think they need to have some experience to formulate a good idea.
Yeah, as I say, I agree. I mean, and there's no magic crystal, not a magic crystal ball. You take a chance with every kid you put in. You take a chance. There's some kids that you think have got, you're not taking less chance because they look really good.
Yeah,
but there's so many things that can happen. They might not grow. They could get injured. There's lots of things that could happen. They might fall out of love with the game. You know, they might have.
Yeah.
The parents might split up and they get serious issues where they're not sure what they want to do. There's so many things that can happen. And I look at some of the kids that are coming into the game, and they're I mean, all the ones we've got no issues. They're lovely kids. But going back to what you said, Andrew, sorry, I'll go. There's a story I got told the other day by one of the Ryan under-6 managers. They're going under-7s this year. It's the 4th team at Ryan, and they went into a tournament which was a low. What's the word I'm looking for? Low standard tournament, low ability, and they won the tournament. And this scout, and I won't say what team he's from, come up and said, "Oh, I like all you boys. Can I take them all into the to the academy. And the coach who used to play for me when he was a kid as well, he looked at him and he's played a good standard. He looked at him and said, "Are you sure about that?" He said, "Because this is our fourth team, and none of these boys have only played 2 games." They've played 2 games. He said, "Yeah, but I want to bring him in. I want to bring him in." He says, "Yeah, but they're not ready. They won't go in and get signed."
Yeah.
And all that's going to happen is they might have a bit of an experience on it, but they're going to get released, and how are they going to react to being released?
Yeah.
It is a chance, and lots of kids get released, and sometimes it's the best thing that happens to them, because you have to build the resilience up.
Yeah.
To prove someone wrong, because you either prove the team right or you prove them wrong. If you've got it in you, you prove them wrong.
Yeah. I just want to quickly pick up on that, Dave. And look, there's so many things, and I'm sorry, guys, I have to run in a sec. But Dave, so I'm quite controversial. I call myself the controversialist on this panel. So the first thing I would say is that I feel like the likes of your club, Ryan, the Levels, the Finesses of this world, the Proverbs, the Tigers, are so good that the teams at the top can compete with Cat 3, Cat 2, especially in the league that we play in, maybe even some Cat 1s, in my personal opinion. But the other thing that struck me in your talking, I would say that you're very much a purist of the game, a little bit like myself. My nickname on the streets is Degenio because of the way I manipulate that ball.
Are we spelling that again, Degenio?
Yeah, Degenio, yeah. And you talked about letting the boys just play and not doing this pep football. But the truth of the matter is, so the 2 questions is this. Is the academies still the right environment to develop the lads? I say this because the pep football is coming from the academies more so than the grassroots. The grassroots allow them to play. But also, are you seeing with the birth of your club and the other top level grassroots club, have they closed the gap?
It's a hard question. Are the academies worthwhile? Yes, they are. But you've got to look is it the right environment for your own son. The only person that knows if it's the right environment is the parent, really, because you'll know. If when you go into an academy, you've got to go in with your eyes wide open, and there is more chance of your son failing to get a scholarship than there is of him getting a scholarship. So you take the experience. You take the training, you try your best to develop, and then hopefully you get the scholarship out of it. And it will work for some, and it won't work for others. Unfortunately, that is the way it is with elite sports. I'm a massive Spurs fan, as you'll know. I don't want to go and spend all that money, what I spend every year on a season ticket, to watch players that aren't good enough. So you're trying to get the best of the best. So you have to always bear that in mind. Do I think the grassroots teams are closing the gap? Not sure if they're closing the gap, but I think that, as you said, I think at younger ages, and it's been proven, some grassroots teams have gone into academies and beaten their sides, mainly at 3 and 2. And there are some very good boys out there. Depends on physicality and all the different aspects that come into it. But I think that if you're getting to a certain age and you get offered a chance, you should try and take it, because it is a great experience. It is a great experience. If you take it for what it is, the academy could be a fantastic experience for kids, because doesn't matter how rich you are, you can't buy that part of it, that bit of experience. Your son has gone. Your son his son or daughter, but I only deal with the boys' football. Your son has gone in there. He's got that place because he's deserved it. He's won that place, and then it's up to him to keep that place. So they learn a lot by that. They learn about taking on ball instructions, tactics. They have to behave at school. There's a school welfare program at all these academies to make sure the kids are doing well at school. You know, so to me, I don't know if that's answered your question, but I do believe, and I'll be a high, you know, I'd be lying if I'd said that no, academies are not good enough for the kids. But I do believe that it is the right place to take your kid if they can deal with all the pressure that comes with playing in an academy.
Thank you, fair.
Is all right, let's not be elitist, but is there a distinction here? So say for instance that my boy's under 9.
Yeah.
He's been offered a trial in an academy right now, but I'm like 1, so it's Cat 3 academy.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of parents in the under 8 season down in some 9 that have just put their kids into academies, yeah? Their level is probably higher, they could probably play in a top Cat 1, but they've just put them in there because it's academy football.
Yeah.
I'm more relaxed with it, where I'm like, I don't just think putting him in academy football for the sake of it is the right thing. Let him enjoy himself outside in a good club, and then see what might happen a bit further down the line. But I don't know if there's a distinction on the point that you're making about academy football's the best place to develop, as it were, if it's right for your boy, or I don't know. It's not a really well formulated question, but I'm almost feeling like unless it's a good environment that offer good training and have the right coaches in there, don't just get your kid into academy football for the sake of it.
Totally agree with you. And there's been lots of boys who I've told in the past, I'm not sure if you should go there, and they've gone there, and the parents have come to me and said, Dave, how do I get them out 6 months later? So you've got to make sure you do your homework first before you go into that environment. And one academy could be great for your son, but could not be the right academy for someone else's son. You know what I mean? It all depends on your son, because you know, no matter how you try and make sure there's no bias, most coaches will have a favourite kid in their team, or the ones they like coaching, and there's normally one kid that's a bit of a pain in the backside. You know, so you've got to take that into consideration as well. But there are plenty. There's lots of instances where a good grassroots team has gone in and beaten an academy side.
Just a quick one on the profile thing, because that's the big thing at the moment, where we're hearing that profile is trumping technicians. So if you're short but you're very technical, the academies are not really looking at that. Scouts aren't looking at that. You'll rather go for a lanky Bambi, and I don't mean Bambi in a derogatory way, but you know, they can barely stand, so they can barely control the ball. You would be more likely to go for that because you think you can work with that, as opposed to someone who can dribble like Bernardo Silva, like Phil Foden, but they're just short.
Me, no, I wouldn't do that in the slightest, and Andrew will bear that out completely. Football needs all different types. You can't have a team full of Lionel Messis, although that would be good to watch. Same as you can't have a team of Pape Mate Sarrs that has got a really great engine and can get around the pitch. I think you need to mix it up. Personally, I think you need your Bernardo Silvas, you need your Sarrs, you need your Kevin De Bruyne's, you need your Van Dijks. I'm trying to name as many different clubs as I can here, apart from one. There's one I won't mention. And that's what I try and look at. I try and look at what's best, what I like. It's, you know, I have a bias, but you do need. You do need to be athletic now. If you look at the football, if you look at some of the things today, and there was a bit in the game today, Man City against Man United, and Bernardo Silva's got the ball, and he just got overrun. Now, if he continues to be overrun, Pep will drop him. Bernardo Silva's an excellent player. Don't get me wrong, and I'd have him in my side. But you've got to realise now the game it's so quick. Even at the younger age groups now, I think it's getting a bit quicker. You know, with the athlete side. I mean, the passing I think isn't as good. The ability to pick out players on your team isn't as good. There's more one-to-one coaches out there that are doing step over, fall over, beating cones, dribbling up and down, going left, going right, with their head up on the floor. You know, it works for some, but me personally, you've got to have intelligence. You've got to have a brain to play football. You've got to be able to wear down the opposition. You've got to find different ways to beat players. Low block, high block, whatever block you want to call it. You've got to work on different aspects of your game and have different players. It's like chess, isn't it? You've got to work out a way to take the king, or in football to score the goal.
Yeah, I make you right. And
well
Dave, you were asked about what you look for. You mentioned a certain player I liked when I was growing up. He was known for his football IQ. He was known for his passing. You touched on passing there. Is that the dying art in grassroots football right now? That eye for a pass, that understanding of the weight, timing, angle. In
my opinion, yes. I think it's the best skill you can have. If you look at football through the years, Tottenham 60s, Brazil the 70 team, and the Brazilian team the 70s.
Yeah.
You look at all the best teams for all at the ages, they're all pass and move with a bit of flair involved in there, so they can use that as well.
Yeah.
You know, Man City have dominated for 5 years because they was the best passing team, and they had De Bruyne playing for them. Liverpool last year was the best team in the end, but they all pass and move. And their quickness of their passing, weight of pass. You know, as I said, I don't want to keep going on about different people, but once you've got your head down and you're dribbling, if you've got your head up, you could beat 3 or 4 players with a decent pass. I'm not just talking about hoofing the ball long. I'm talking about a pass.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 5-yard pass or a 20-yard pass or even a 35-yard pass. You know, it's a great art. And ball striking, including shooting, is one of the most important things to me in a player.
Yeah, no, I make you right. And it's a love for the art of the game. The game is a beautiful game. The player you mentioned, I think one of his best goals for me, I think he touches the ball twice from the halfway line. He doesn't need to do step over shift. I think he drops his shoulder twice.
Drops his shoulder, takes it around Peter Hucker.
Yeah.
And then puts it into net. Yeah, I was there.
You were there. Brilliant. Yeah. Amazing. And I don't recall too many. I remember Cruyff turn. He loved a bit of a Cruyff turn, maybe a step over, but there weren't step over, fall over. His passing, he had put backspin on it. He put care and love on every pass he did.
And he was both-footed as well, which is very important in my opinion.
That's it. Again, to create the pass that is necessary based on the angle you are and where it needs to go, you're going to need to use both feet. And I think it is a dying art. But I'm gonna shift gears a little bit there, Dave. And I guess that's a failing, I think, in football now. A failing I see in British football, especially English football. And I think Michael Owen touched on this the other day. I want to get your opinion. He mentioned that the England youth setups have so much talent leading up to 21, win tournaments, international tournaments. And when it gets to, obviously, the men's team, they've not won a tournament since 66. Improved, finals, semi-finals, etc. in the last 20 years, which is good. But there seems to be something missing. And I think, personally, there's a lot of young players that they've started to do a little bit more now, but don't take that leap and go overseas. And I think, why is that? And when I think, why is that? I think that we're privileged that everyone speaks English and we don't think we need to learn the language, and it hinders some of our players going overseas. So the question I have for you, and if the academy start doing this, I want my royalty. So that's why I'm saying it live on air. I know the academies make boys go to college and a lot of them learn their sports science, but should the academies force a language on the boys to help their progression in football?
I don't know if you could force a language onto them. I think it's great. I mean, as I said to you, I went back to a school in Hackney, and I was fortunate enough to sit in on some of the lessons. When I was at school, we done French. I didn't want, as I was a typical Englander. Everyone speaks English whilst I learn another language. When I went back and see it from a different point of view, I realised how it helps and what a benefit it is to you if you can speak a different language or two. But the kids got to want to do it. A lot of these kids, they're 15, 14, 15, 16. A lot of them think they've made it. And they think, I don't need to do anything. You know, a lot of them do. They think, I'm going to be a footballer. I don't need to do all the schoolwork. You know, because you've been told for years that they're fantastic. So, I agree with you. I think a lot of them do need to go a bit outside. The problem you have is supporters as well, though, is because, and it's me, I was touching it earlier, I want to see Spurs win things. So we put a great demand on our chairman and everything to spend money and go and buy the best, or go and buy the best German or the best Brazilian or whoever it may be. If you're doing that all the time, you're stopping the academy boys coming through, aren't you?
Of course you are.
And then a manager, he's probably thinking, do I trust this 18-year-old, or do I go and spend £35 million on a seasoned pro who everyone heard of? And if he doesn't work out, at least I can say, well, I've gone and got to try to get the best I could. His CV showed that he was the best. But, you know, if you're doing that, you're stopping people coming through. Most kids come through because they have a bit of luck where someone else has been injured or someone's out of form. You look at it with a couple that have come through recently at big clubs. They only come through because of an injury scare, or there's a big injury problem at the club, and then it's down to them to either take it on or fold. I mean, the latest two really was Skelly and Namwari at Arsenal, weren't they? They come in last year because of the problems. And both of them done very well.
Grabbed it, both hands.
Grabbed their chance, done very well. Both of them are now in all the England setups. You know, it's good to see that they're taking their chance. It's just when you get your chance, you have to take it.
I hear you. Let's stay there if you can. OC, I'm going to come back to you, but this is a bit of a passion piece for me now. So, don't get yourself in trouble here, Dave. But Noni Madueke, right, was at Spurs.
Yeah.
He's one that decided to leave. I don't know the circumstances behind it. I don't know if you do. I don't know if you can speak on it. But he's one that decided to not take a scholar, from what I understand. Yeah. Go overseas to further develop and maybe get playing time.
Yeah.
And fast forward 3 or 4 years. Oh, and by the way, he was in the team with Savinho, Xavi, Simons, and one other at PSV. And fast forward 2 or 3 years, has come back, gone to one of the enemies, and now gone to the other enemy, and for 50 odd million, and now is the flavour of the month. Right? Is that the pathway we're looking at? Is that the mindset we're looking at? Should more players be like that? Do you know? Can you speak on that?
Well, I can speak. I don't know why he went. I don't know the background why he went or why he left Spurs. But he obviously made the decision, and he was probably advised, or he's made decisions as a family that that's his best route to get out and to get into the first team for his pathway. you've got to look and see at the pathway in a club, really, if you're a youngster coming through. And if you think you've got no chance, then your agent should be doing what's best for you. Now, that could be going out to PSV or to Germany. Look at Bellingham, left Birmingham, went to Dortmund, world superstar now.
Sancho the same, yeah.
And but it doesn't. Well, Sancho went out, done well abroad, but come back and hasn't done it, has he? Really?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong; he's done a lot better than most kids, and a lot better than I've ever done. So I don't want to knock him, but he hasn't really lived up to the hype around him when he was over in Dortmund. But there are plenty of other boys that have gone abroad, and it's not worked out for them.
Yeah. No, this is true. Go on.
I just think that everyone's pathways is a bit different. So you've got to find out what is best for you. And you've got to be honest with yourself as well.
Yeah, I agree. I told one of my daughter's friends this many moons ago. And it's funny what you said about the agent and getting the agent to do what's right for the player, because often players either don't get the right agent who doesn't advise them in the right way, or B, themselves, they've had the smoke blown up their backside since they were 6, so they think that they know best and they're better than what they are, and they don't need to do the right things, which is maybe go overseas, maybe lead the club that's a Cat 1 club or a Premier League club, and try something else and step down to step back up, or go overseas to challenge themselves and get playing time. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. For players like
also,
that.
There's other things. There is the loan system. So you've got to make sure that the club, if you're there, you want to try and get out. If you're pushing, you need to get out, and you've got to have the right loan as well, haven't you? I mean, you look at, there's a certain player that went out on loan to quite a few clubs.
I was coming on to him right now.
But he's gone out to quite a few clubs, and it didn't work out as well as it could have. Worked out. I think he'd done well at Millwall and done well at Orient, but it didn't work out at Leicester or Norwich. Yeah. And in the end, he come out, he's now England's greatest ever goal scorer. So you've got to make sure it's the right loan if you are going to go out on loan.
And this is the point I was going to make to bring it round to this young man. And this young man's Harry Kane. You spoke, when OC asked you a question earlier, you spoke about mindset and having the right attitude. And those loans, he didn't let those dampen his spirit, because he had rejection at his previous club. He wasn't necessarily, from what I understand, the marquee player in the academy when he was there. And then he's gone out on these loans and they haven't all worked out, but his mindset for development and progression was second to none. And that's now led him, like you say, to becoming the #1 goal scorer in the country, probably be the record cap holder by the time he's finished. He may even come back to the Premier League and break that record. And you had this boy, who's now this man, Harry Kane, in your club many moons ago. Did you see that mindset then with him? What did you see?
As I've said this quite a few times, the thing with how I had him at a very young age. He was very good, but he had the mindset. It didn't seem to matter if he missed. And that's the great thing about a goal scorer. You're going to miss. So you've got to get over it quickly, because what's happened has happened. You can't change what's happened in the past. You just got to go, right, next goal, I'm going to score. I don't know if you watched the Man City game today. Haaland's the same. Missed an absolute sitter.
Yeah.
And then scored an unbelievable goal afterwards.
Yeah.
Where he's run through, took his time, drew the goalkeeper, and just passed it into the side, into the corner. That's the mindset you need to be a great goal scorer. It doesn't matter about the misses. A lot of players would have looked at themselves and gone, "How did I miss that? I'm a yard out. I've hit the post. I've got the whole goal gaping." But Haaland's mindset was that good that he thinks, it doesn't matter. I'm going to just get another one. I'll just score next time. And Harry's like that, and he's been like it for a long time. He just seemed to. Didn't matter if he scored, he'll just score next time.
But Harry seems to be, I agree with that. His mindset, his kind of the way he takes penalties, the way he so determined to work on his finishing and his play. I saw him score a goal, and obviously he doesn't play for my club anymore, but I still admire the fact that he's probably one of the very few true number 9s. I know he's a split, bit of a 10 as well, but number 9 in terms of finishing in world football. He scored a goal in the Club World Cup where he received the ball from Kimmich in a split second. He had the ball in the back of the net from the edge of the box because he had already assessed everything. He knew what type of finish he wanted to do because he's practiced that finish, I don't know, hours upon end. He was able to execute it, and it was in the bottom corner before the keeper even thought about diving. Now, is that something he's developed? Is that something he had? Is there something that boys can kind of replicate?
He could always strike a ball well, even as at a very young age. But you've still got to practice it. And he's just practiced it a lot. He's gone out. His mindset at, as far as I'm well, 14 was unreal. He decided he wanted to be a professional footballer. Started eating the right stuff, doing a bit of extra training to get himself a bit more athletic. Done a bit more running, trained harder, worked harder, ate the right things, and said, "This is the best way for me to be a footballer," and it worked out for him. But you've got to have that strong mindset, and you've got to want to, as someone else said, if you work hard at something, you become better at it. If you practice something, you become better at it. And that's what the best do. Ronaldo, I know I'm going off track here, but Ronaldo, they said that when he went to Manchester United, they said he couldn't head the ball. And they said I think it was Scholes said to him, if you could learn to head the ball, you'd score another couple of goals a season.
Yeah.
So he practiced straight after that to become better at heading. Now he's one of the best headers in the world. David Beckham, who again we know because he's a local boy, used to practice free kicks. So it's no surprise he's scored more free kicks than most other people because he practiced them all the time. If you want to be great at something, you put the effort in. There's no shortcuts to becoming great. I thought I was quite a good footballer when I was a kid. I didn't work hard enough. I didn't have the right mindset. Didn't have the heart. That's why I never made it. And that goes for most kids. You can say you want to be a footballer, but do you really want to be a footballer? Do you want to make all the sacrifices when all your mates are going out and you're not? Do you want to put all the hard work in? Do you want to do the extra hours? And if you do, then you've got a chance. As long as you've got the technique as well.
Yeah, putting in the work helps with that. And Dave, I've seen you. I've not seen you play, but you're a bit techie. You got a few tricks. I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that. OC, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, so just sort of bringing it back to, I suppose, the parents, the kids, and the generation they're on now. What's your thoughts on? You touched on it earlier, where you said like one of the boys he was training 7 times a week and 7 days a week, and down to this place and that place. What's your thoughts on like the one-to-one culture and the overtraining? Because for me, my boy's only 8, so whilst I've learned across our journey and I'm a bit less fanatical than I was before, for me, I'm like, I'd rather just let him go out and go over the park or in the back garden and just work off the wall or work in a goal, me and him, or him and some mates, rather than taking him to a one-to-one coach 2-3 times a week. Because what you touched on, David Beckham weren't going to see a one-to-one coach for his free kicks. I imagine, I don't know his story, but I imagine he was going over the park. He was hitting free kicks when he was young. I imagine Harry Kane found a goal and he was hitting shots. He wasn't going to see Rob, the one-to-one coach. And I just feel like you've got the 4-year-olds, they're doing one-to-ones, 5-year-olds are doing one-to-ones. And listen, I'm not trying to steal money out of anyone's pocket. Like, I feel like it has its place, but almost to me, it's like, if you want to get into an academy, if you want to be a pro, go and see these coaches. Well, I'm more like, if my son don't want to go in the garden and ask me to take him over the park and play, then there's no point in me driving him to go and see someone because he's not coming from there. Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree with you. I mean, I do some one-to-ones, as Andrew knows. I would rather do a little group session of 5 or 6 because I think they'll learn more from that, and it makes it a lot cheaper for people as well. I'm a great advocate for a ball in the wall. You know, that's how you learn to strike the ball better, weight of pass, technique, touch. Both my boys went through the academy system, and I used to take them over the park. I never done one-to-ones with them, but I took them over the park and just let them kick the ball at me. It's a shame now because most kids cut this. When I was a kid, and I'm very old, but when I was a kid, I could go over the park. There'd be 50, 60 kids over there, 4 or 5 games, and you just join in and playing football. And if you was good, you play with the older boys, and that's how you learn. It doesn't seem to happen these days. No. So, which is why we've got soccer camps, why we've got soccer schools, why everything's organised. But what you've said is right. You know, if your son really wants it, go in the garden, practice your kick-ups. Go. You know, put some stuff down on the garden or the Astro and go in and out. Practice your dribbling, pass against the wall. You know, if you want to do it, and there's no one assessing you doing that as well. One-to-ones, you know, they can be good if you want to do specific things. If you said to me, "Oh, Dave, I'll do a one-to-one," I'd say, "What do you want it done for? What do you want to get out of the one-to-one?" You know, you can go. There's all these one-to-ones just doing their own little thing. But if you come to me and say, "Dave, I want to do ball mastery," I'd say probably I'm not the right person for you. I can do it, but I don't like it. I like ball striking. I like passing. I like getting the head up. You know, hitting the ball the inside or the outside of your foot. You know, weight of pass. You know, chipping. You know, what type of shot do you take on? So you've got to know what, if you're going to do a one-to-one, you've got to know what you're going to, why you're doing it, and what outcomes you're looking for.
Yeah, I just feel like I say, I'm not knocking that industry and that.
No, I totally agree with you. I don't like doing one-to-ones.
Yeah.
The only reason I started doing them is because people were asking me to do them, and I was saying no. And I was going to another court, speaking to a couple of other coaches, and still doing them and spending fortunes on them. So I end up doing it a bit cheaper, to be honest with you, because some people are charging ridiculous money for one-to-ones.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'll just wrap another one, Andrew, and then I don't know if you've got any more to round up. But so what was too much and what's too little? So I know that you're working with the younger kids.
Again, and I keep saying the same thing. It does depend on the kid. Some kids can train 4 or 5 times a week. Some don't. I'll ask you a question, OC. Your son, what other sports does he play?
He does swimming, and I just got him back into judo last Friday, so he's doing judo again.
Yeah, brilliant. So he's not going to be just football. With my kids, I tried to get them. They done karate, they done tennis, they done badminton, they done table tennis, done golf. You know, not all at the same time at different times because there's only so many hours in a day. But you don't want football to become a chore, because in the end, if it becomes a chore, at 12 they'll probably tell me, "Go, don't want to play anymore." You know, you've got, and then you don't want to burn. Some kids, if they're not physically big enough, you don't want them to burn out as well, because that's when injuries come. It's a hard one. It's a fine line between doing too much or too little.
Yeah.
And I think it's down to the parent to parent their kid to make sure he's not doing too much or not doing too little.
Yeah.
If he wants to progress.
I think in this day and age now, with the Instagram and all of the other associated bits, you see this one and that one posting, but
peer pressure is terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think, going back to what you were saying earlier, I know they talk about physicality and power, but listen, it's just like elite sport is for athletes. So I feel like if you're doing your karate, your judo, your tennis, you're getting your different movements, you're getting your different, not just focus on football, surely holistically that's going to develop someone better in the long
Totally
run.
agree. Totally agree. I think you have to do other stuff. Swimming, especially, because that's a lifesaver as well. But tennis, hand-eye coordination, all different stuff. Golf, it's a swing, it's to get in the swing through. It's all different stuff, but it's all good for them, and it takes their mind off it. It gives them something else to look forward to.
Cool. So, Dave, listen, I could speak to you all day. I want to go. I want to reiterate what I said earlier. I think we've had many a conversation over the years. I think you even challenged me not so long ago about a session that my boy was doing. Made me think, made me check myself. You asked me some questions. I couldn't answer. I couldn't give you all the answers. And that was it. You didn't push it. You didn't say it's the wrong thing. You didn't say it's the right thing. You just challenged. And I think you need to keep on challenging. So I think you've got a wealth of information. I think you definitely got a lot to offer the game still. You keep on saying you're old, but Roger's 79, did we say the other day?
80 now.
80 now. So he's still going lifting up goals. I see carrying them off, and I'm like, Roger, what are you doing? But so you've got a long way to go. That's what I'm saying. So keep doing what you're doing.
He's who I want to emulate. I need to get to his age. I need to try and be the next Roger Miller, don't I?
Well, you'll get there. You'll get there. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure I'll speak to you next week.
But
thanks, before we go, as is customary on the pod, I'm going to ask you one last question. And before you answer this question, you have to help with the answer. So the question is, now you've been on the pod, who do you think would be a good guest for us to get on the pod? And before you answer that, you have to help get that person on.
Right. Okay. There's a couple of people that I think would be very good for your pod, depending on what you want to talk about. If I can, you can look at people that have gone through the system.
Yeah.
All the way. You can look at people that have gone through the system, come out of the system and gone back in and shown the resilience.
Yeah.
You can look at just people that are doing grassroots and how they think grassroots is going.
Yeah.
We'll
take all three.
We'll take all three.
Yeah.
All right, you're going to ask me for names.
No, I think I know the second person. Yeah. And you touched them in the other day when I saw you at the camp. So let's go with him.
Okay, we'll try and get him on then. Try and get him on. Yeah, I'll ask someone else as well for you as well. There's
appreciate.
Oh, there's a couple that I've got in mind, and I'll chat to you about it.
Perfect. And I think it's brilliant. I'm happy we've had you on. I think your information is good for parents, and a lot of parents come up to us and say that was a good pod because I've learned something, and that's what we're aiming for parents, uncles, aunts, any guardians, as well as the grassroots player themselves, to learn stuff. We learn stuff when we do these pods. We definitely don't have all the information. That's why we get the experts like yourself on. And I think it's important when parents are trying to guide their children through this journey that they don't have assumptions, that they actually ask questions and they actually listen to the answers.
But they should also be thankful. But a lot of parents should be thankful for the coaches that give up all their time as well. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about all the. I'll go round and I spend hours out on the grassroots scene, and some of these parents need to be a bit more thankful for what these coaches do, whether they're great coaches or not. Anyone that gives up their time for kids and gives them something to do gets my vote. I'll be honest with you. You have to admire them. There are some that are in it for the wrong reason. There's some bad coaches out there. There's some excellent coaches out there, but they all give up their time to try and help other people.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They applauded the nurses when the nurses needed applauding, and I think we need to applaud the coaches, because honestly, you're keeping kids off the street, you're giving people opportunity, you're helping people out, self-esteem, pride, discipline. There's so much that football and any sport really, when it's organized, gives the kids some self-esteem and value. There's a lot to be said for that.
And the friendships as well they make. Friendships
100%.
made over the years. I've got mates still who I've known. Well, there's one that's over at Interwood, isn't it? Danny at Interwood. I've known him 55 years. We've been, you know what I mean?
There
So,
you go. Friendships. Yeah, different friendship groups.
Yeah.
100%. Well, listen, we've run long as we always do. We thank you for your time, Dave. For all the listeners, thank you for staying tuned with us. We know that you are true to this. So can you tell a friend and introduce somebody who's new to this? Continue to like, continue to smash that like button, hit that subscribe and hit that notification. And if you're listening on the audio feed, leave a review and hit the like button. We've been Ball at All Cost. This has been Dave Bricknell. Until next week, we're out.
Thank you very much. Cheers.